Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me, and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds, where I like to collect together all the different things that I've purchased over the past week and present it to you. I get it from different places like my local record store, but also online retail like Amazon, eBay, and more. Don't forget, this past Saturday was Record Store Day, so I got all that stuff too. We got the cool releases that dropped on Friday, April 19th. Then you turn right around and you get all the cool stuff that dropped for Record Store Day, making this a huge week of release. Lots and lots of cool stuff. We'll get into that in just a bit. But before we start, if you're new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you're going to stay up to date on everything going on in the world of music, just like this with New Music Finds. So I like to kick off with new releases, and we're going to start with April 19th, the actual release day before Record Store Day on the 20th. Major album that dropped was the brand new Pearl Jam album, Dark Matter. And so this one here didn't immediately hit me out of the gate. When I first streamed this thing, it didn't kind of blow me over or anything. There wasn't one song that grabbed me necessarily out of the others. But this is one of those albums with repeated listens is really grown on me to the point that I actually really like this album now, thinking it is definitely one of their best albums in recent years. I have done a full review for this album. If you want to see it, I'm going to leave a link in the description. You can check that out and get the full lowdown and everything on Pearl Jam's Dark Matter. Good album, though, definitely worth checking out. This next one, I didn't necessarily have high hopes for, but I really liked the last one, and I liked this artist in particular, so I went ahead and picked it up. Ian Hunter, Defiance, Part 2. This one is called Fiction. So Ian Hunter being the frontman for Mott the Hoople. I've liked both Mott the Hoople, but really his solo career. And he put out Defiance Part 1 in 2023, and that one was a really good album. Something, again, I wasn't expecting, and I got it, and it was just a super good album. Both that album and this one have a lot of cool guests, including artists from Cheap Trick on here, Taylor Hawkins before his passing, and Jeff Beck before his passing. So a lot of these are kind of final times we're going to hear these artists, also making it extra special. But I gotta say, I put this on, and I think I like this one even better than the last album. So if you enjoyed Part 1, or you're a fan of just Ian Hunter and Mott the Hoople in general, this is a great album and highly recommended. Great, fantastic production. It's out on the Classic Sun Records label that's been reactivated, giving it just even that much more excitement behind it, I guess. New wave of British heavy metal band Praying Mantis dropped an album called Defiance. So we get two albums called Defiance this week of release. Really good stuff here. This is a band that I think has only gotten better with time. I like their original stuff from back in 1980, give or take, when they were first starting out, but I have to say I've really enjoyed the resurgence in their career in the last decade or so. This is a very good album. They do a cover of the Rainbow song, I Surrender. I wasn't expecting that. I'm listening to it. I'm enjoying it. The fourth track comes on and I'm like, whoa! And they do a really cool version of it. So you also get that on here. Now, a little side note, this is out on Frontiers Records, and I have to say, I think this is the first time that I have seen a cardboard package case that's not for a 2-disc. Sometimes they have done the 2-disc deluxe edition that has come out in cardboard, but otherwise, Frontiers has always been a die-hard jewel case company. And now it looks like they may be starting to do the cardboard cases, which is going to be a real bummer. So if anybody from Frontiers is listening, we prefer the jewel cases. Okay, moving on. Cherry Red Records has put out the brand new Hawkwind album, which is called Stories from Time and Space. I think this is like their 36th album or something. These guys have been going for a really long time. Main man, Dave Brock, frontman, still with the band. Other various members have come and gone throughout the years, but he's still there. Good stuff. If you're a fan of Hawkwind, I do recommend this. It is totally worth checking out. In fact, I'm actually liking this one a little bit more than the last album. So this one here has been a pleasant surprise getting that. All right, and something else put out by Cherry Red Records and one of their offshoot labels is this, called All Systems Go. Is the Neat Records collection of singles. Neat Records sort of spearheaded the whole new wave of British heavy metal movement back in the day, putting out lots of singles and helping those bands out, and then eventually putting out albums. And this is a cool 4 CD box set in the sort of clamshell style that a lot of these labels and bands are doing these days. You do get a very cool booklet with it, and then you get individual discs for each of those that has the 45s on the cover. And then on the back side, you still get the 45 down the spine there with the name of the band and the songs. And they do them in order of release, and they do them with the A and the B side before moving on. So you get both A and B sides for these. But I thought it was very cool getting to see all those original 45s on the covers of these discs, the way that they were done. But very cool. So definitely probably one of the most comprehensive collections of new wave of British heavy metal material, spanning from Tigers of Pantang. It's also got Venom, Raven, Persian Risk, Jaguar, Heavy Pettin, White Spirit, Blitzkrieg, Saracen, you name it, they're all on here. So very cool. I love getting compilations like that. I'm a huge fan of the new wave of British heavy metal period and time frame. So when I can get cool box sets like this that are kind of like putting on the radio and hearing new wave of British heavy metal, just radio, that's what it is like listening to this. And so having a lot of fun with that. All right, now the other big release day was April 20th, Saturday, for Record Store Day. 386 titles were announced. I think even a few more ended up dropping by the time the day actually happened. Very cool stuff. I have to say, one of the best release lists, that they had available. So many cool titles. I ended up buying and spending more than I think I ever have at a Record Store Day. And maybe this is the most people I've ever seen at one. I don't know overall throughout the country, throughout the world, how it went, but I gotta say, in my experience, definitely as many people as a year ago when Taylor Swift dropped something, but I think even more than that came out for it, which was very cool. Hopefully meaning some of those people that had shown up for the very first time a year ago decided to return for this, and that's what we want. We want to keep Record Store Day going. We want younger generations to get involved in it, and if they keep doing very cool releases like they did this go around, I think that will happen. All right, so I picked up the new Doors live album, Live in Stockholm, on CD. I haven't gotten into this one yet. You'll see why, because I picked up so many vinyl releases, and I chose to dive into those first. So same thing with this. I haven't opened the Eric Carr Unfinished Business CD that I picked up. So second of 2 solo albums. I don't know if it was in November. I think it was a year ago that they did the first album that he did, Rockology, and then now we're finally getting this one here. But I have heard this already. I have a version of this, just not with the face paint like this version from Creatures of the Night, so I had to get that for the collection. But the ones that I dove into right away, we'll start off with Def Leppard, the live album. This is live in Sheffield from 2023, so a recent live recording. It's on 2 LPs. It's got old classic stuff on here like Let It Go, which I love, and Excitable is on this. So a couple, deeper cuts, but it's also got new stuff like Fire It Up, Kick is on here, and then we've got stuff from Hysteria, but very, very cool live album, great sound quality to it, so really enjoying that. Mr. Big are out on their farewell tour, calling it a day. The Big Finish is the name of the tour, and they're performing Lean Into It in its entirety, or at least they were when they did this here. So we get a live recording of Lean Into It in its entirety. And so, unfortunately, we don't have original drummer who passed away, Paul Torpey, with them, but we do have Nick DiVergio on drums filling in, and he's doing an excellent job coming from Spock's Beard. But we do get this live release. This one was a really cool one. Motorhead Remorse No. So it's alternate editions of the original songs that appeared on the No Remorse album compilation that Motorhead had put out now getting an alternate edition of that album. It is a 2 LP set. Maybe the one that I ended up liking the most out of all of this was the lost 1999 album from Sponge called Planet Girls. So they had recorded this. Their label at the time, Columbia, rejected it. They left that label and went to another label, Beyond Records. Kept some of the songs, but recorded a whole bunch of different ones. I think there's only like 4 songs to cross over between this album and New Pop Sunday, which is ultimately what the album became. But I really enjoyed this album, and this is supposed to be a record store day first, so hopefully it will get a wider release in case you didn't get a copy, and also hopefully it'll get a CD release. But I really enjoyed hearing that one. Ramones, the 1975 Sire Demos. So this was part of the box set when they released their debut album, or reissued, I should say, the debut album. It's what got the band signed. They were in there on CD, but this is the first time getting it on LP. I didn't pick up the box set originally, and I also like it better when they get their own album art and everything like that. So when it's just a CD stuck inside those book-style box sets, that was what the Ramones were doing, I like getting it this way best. All right, the Dixie Dregs, the Great Spectacular, their debut self-released LP. I don't know if this is ultimately what got the band signed or not, or just was their independent release that they put out, but demos of songs that would later turn up on their debut album, done here in 1975. Excellent sound quality, very cool sounding stuff. A little slightly different than what the stuff would turn out to be, and so it was kind of fun picking those little changes and parts out of it. David Bowie dropped something. Well, he generally always drops something, but we got this, Waiting in the Sky, which is the original track listing and running order of songs that were for Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, which has 4 songs that didn't make the final album. Ultimately, they went a different way. They changed out some songs, did a different track listing and everything, and then becoming the famous album that we know. But this is what it very well could have been. And that was very cool to get a hold of this. There is a box set getting ready to come out. I want to say maybe it's around June, I'm not sure. And I think these tracks appear in there, but they are not sequenced and done like this, the way that it was originally heard. They appear in there in terms of the order of recording from the sessions. But I definitely wanted to pick this up and have this because it doesn't look like this is going to get a standalone CD copy. And here was one that was kind of an impulse buy that I only found when I had filmed the preview of stuff that was coming out that I showed you guys when I was at Sound Exchange. And then I saw it again when I was there filming for the day and taking it all in. And that video that I put together for you guys that you saw earlier in the week was this. The Yardbirds, Psycho Daisies, so a collection of B-sides. First time ever gathered up like this on here. So we get 15 tracks. And I had to get it because it was B-sides. It wasn't the big hits kind of stuff. And I just sort of impulse bought it because I didn't want to miss out on it. And I got home and that turned out to just hit the right spot for me. It made me go back and pull out. I don't have much by the Yardbirds, but I do have some stuff, and it's never really quite clicked with me before. But after hearing this, I was fully into it, and now the stuff that I do have is sounding really good, and I want to go get some more stuff by the Yardbirds. So that's always fun and exciting when that happens. This was one that I didn't pick up on Record Store Day, but was sent to me by Cooking Vinyl. The Alan Parsons Project Pyramid Works in Progress. So I did a full review of this. I'm going to leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. But ultimately, it's early versions of the songs that ultimately became Pyramid, the classic album, probably one of their most famous albums. But really good sound quality on that, and I definitely enjoyed it. Hopefully you saw that review in advance because it was meant to be a preview, and if you went to Record Store and wanted one, I hope you got one, because again, that's not going to get another release. A lot of these are exclusive releases. That's what makes Record Store so much fun, is these things that are exclusive, like this next one here, Mark Knopfler, The Boy, a 4-song EP of 4 new songs recorded in 2024 just for Record Store Day. These are not the ones that are on his album. This is not that single that he dropped a couple months before that with the Guitar Heroes. This is 4 songs that he did just for Record Store Day, just as a thank you to fans. How cool is that? Getting 4 more songs from Mark Knopfler. That one too, I didn't even know about. I saw that one on Record Store Day. So I think that was one of the late editions after I had done my preview. And I was glad that I saw it, and I was glad that it was still there at the end of the day when I was packing up and getting ready to go. And I said, you know what? I'm going to add one of these into my purchase. And then this, Golden Earring, The Cut Sessions. So the famous album that had their comeback hit, Twilight Zone from the 80s, that is on here. It is a 2 LP set covering different versions and developments of the songs and outtakes and alternate editions and stuff like that that ultimately made up their big album from the 80s. And I love getting stuff like that. So next up would be this. I didn't know about this band. I wasn't familiar with this band from the 80s, but I'm currently reading the book Ready Player 2, the Ernest Cline novel, the Ready Player 1, where it has all the cool references to 80s movies, comics, video games, you name it, it's all in there. So it's a lot of fun for those of us that grew up during that time frame. Ready Player 2 is the part 2 of that book and series. And in there, he's talking about the band Animotion and a song called Obsession. And so I like to stream the songs that are being talked about in the book while I'm reading it. And I checked this album out, and it was really good stuff. So I picked this up, the debut album on CD. And then while I was at Record Store Day, I found this album, Strange Behavior, of theirs. I don't know which one it is. I think they had 3 or 4 albums. This one here looks like it was 1986 on Polygram, still sealed. So I added that to the collection as well. I haven't dove into this one just yet. Obviously got so much stuff with the Record Store Day purchases. I listened to, I think I have 10 LPs there that I picked up during Record Store Day, and I listened to all of them on Saturday when I got home from it. They were just that good. I just kept going in and digging that stuff all day, just music listening affair, so much fun. Here's one I ordered off of eBay. Definitely one of the most expensive albums that I've purchased. A little over 50 bucks I spent on this one. John Kay and Steppenwolf Paradox. I know I don't normally tell you guys prices that I spend on things. I'm not someone who will go crazy for stuff, but I've wanted this one for a really long time. I like that 80s era sound that he did. And I recently found one of his albums from, I think, 87. This one here, I want to say it was like 84, 85, so earlier period. And I enjoyed that one so much that it really kind of made me want these other ones that I was familiar with. And so I decided to go ahead and shell out for it. I managed to find it from someone in Italy that had a new sealed copy of it. It had never been opened, so it was worth paying a little extra to know I was getting it fresh and brand new. There was going to be absolutely nothing wrong with this, so I broke down and spent the money on it. And that's about the most I've ever spent. I bought a couple, 2 or 3 maybe total albums now at 50, but most times I don't usually go over about 30 bucks. It's usually about the most I spend. All right, I picked up Supertramp, Famous Last Words. So you saw from last week I was getting into some Supertramp stuff, so I got that. Chicago 17, I picked up a copy of this used from Sound Exchange, and then unfortunately the CD inside was not the right one. I had to return it, so I ordered a brand new copy of it and got that. Absolutely classic album. I remember growing up with that, having it back in the day, got rid of it at some point. Still had an LP edition of it, but finally got the CD of it. Chicago 18, the follow-up album, nowhere near as good as Chicago 17. I'm looking forward to getting 19. Well, actually, I have 19. I'm looking forward to getting 16, the album that's right before this. I've ordered it, but I had to order it from Japan, and so it's taken a little bit to get that. But this one has a very cool redo of the song 25 or 6 to 4, which I really like this 80s 80ized version of it, I guess, if you will. Really cool. Of course, it does have the song Will You Still Love Me, which is the big ballad hit off of this. So even when there's nothing else on these albums, I was surprised by how many of their 80s hits or 80s songs were big hits, topping the charts and stuff like that. And so this album here, which I was never familiar with, ended up having one of those big hits, but then also the redo of 25 or 624. And I got the first edition of the Best of Rod Stewart. Last time you guys saw, I picked up a used copy of the Best of Rod Stewart Part 2. So I like these very early on editions, these original Best of collections. And I got this one here, of course, having all the big stuff on it, like Maggie May, An Old Raincoat Will Never Let You Down, Handbags and Glad Rags, Gasoline Alley. Every picture tells a story, so it's all that. I liked the other one that I got because it was kind of all the deeper cuts, not the big hits. But once I had that, I had to go and get this as well. All right, and I haven't opened this one just yet, but I did add another Wallflowers album to my collection. Exit Wounds, this is their latest album that came out in 2021. So I'm looking forward to diving into that. It's just I'd gotten so much other stuff that when this one finally came in the mail, I didn't want to dive into it just yet. So I'm setting that aside until I'm back in the mood for the Wallflower style sounding stuff. And then I'll get into that. Because right now, as you can see, man, I'm all over the place with alternative rock from Pearl Jam and new wave of British heavy metal stuff. And then pop synthesizer stuff from Animotion, and then all the great Record Store Day stuff that covered the gauntlet in there. But all in all, there you go, 26 things that I picked up, 14 CDs, 12 records. I hope you guys had a great time if you went out to Record Store Day, or just a really great release week in terms of April 19th. But all in all, what a great Friday, Saturday it was this past week. And like I said, I hope you guys had a great time too. Let me know things you picked up. Let me know what's been your latest, greatest new music find, and we'll have a cool conversation about all that stuff. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.